I never thought the day would come when I'd confront the man who stole my wife. That was my first thought when I saw him standing there, grinning smugly as if he'd won some great prize. The man, John, wasn't exactly an intimidating figure. Small, slick, and too self-assured. He wore an expensive suit, and I could tell he thought his sharp suit and sharper words made him untouchable. But he was about to learn how wrong he was. "Let me be blunt, Mr. Brown," he sneered. "You're wasting your time. I'm the one in her life now, legally, emotionally, and physically." I clenched my fists but kept my face calm. He noticed and smirked harder, mistaking my silence for weakness. "You don't understand, do you?" he continued. "Even if you were foolish enough to fight me, there are legal ways to keep you in check. By the time I'm done, you won't have a penny left to your name, if I even let you see her again." He was baiting me, trying to goad me into reacting. But I simply took a breath and smiled. "Really, John? Is that what you think? You believe you're her knight in shining armor? You're just a lawyer playing at being something more." He chuckled, dismissing me with a wave. "Maybe you don't realize it, Mr. Brown, but Neanderthals like you don't rule the world anymore. Brains over brawn, that's what wins." I nodded, taking a step closer. "You're probably right, John. But tell me, what do you think alpha really means?" John's smug expression faltered. "What are you on about?" "Alpha, John, isn't just about barking orders from behind a desk. It's about control, yes, but also strength, the kind you're severely lacking." Before he could respond, I drove my fist into his jaw. There was a satisfying crunch as he staggered back, clutching his face, eyes wide with shock. "Consider that lesson number 1, I said, grabbing him by his collar and lifting him to his feet. Before he could even take a breath, I hit him in the diaphragm, making him crumble to his knees. And that was lesson number 2. His cockiness was gone. He looked up at me, gasping, with a new kind of fear in his eyes. "This is what an alpha looks like," I told him, and I kicked his outstretched hand, hearing the satisfying crack of breaking bones. Lesson 3. Out here in the real world, it's not about words, John. It's about action. John lay there, whimpering as I crouched beside him. "Now, let's talk about your options. You could call the cops, sure. Maybe they'd arrest me, maybe they wouldn't. But think, John, what's the worst that could happen? 5 years in prison? That's just a crash course in how to hurt people more effectively." His face went pale and I grinned. "Or you could walk away, learn from this, and never come near my family again." Shaking, he nodded, his voice barely a whisper. "Fine. I get it. I'm done." "Good." I stood, brushing off my hands. "Next time, bring a witness, smart guy." I looked at him one last time, enjoying the fear in his eyes. "Now get out of my sight." Later. That night, John lay in a hospital bed, his face bruised and swollen, his voice a painful rasp. Jenny, my now estranged wife, was on the phone with him, sounding horrified. "My God, John, were you in an accident?" He winced as he explained, "No, it was your husband. I was stupid enough to think I could talk to him alone. Now my nose is broken, my hands crushed, and I might have a few cracked ribs. He wasn't bluffing, Jenny." "He wouldn't hurt a fly," she protested, shocked. He laughed bitterly. "Well, I have the broken bones to prove he's no fly. I'm telling you now, I'm out. This is over. I'm not going up against him again." The next morning she went to our home, only to find the locks had been changed and the accounts were empty. Furious, she drove straight to John's office. "I need your help, John," she pleaded, desperation in her eyes. "All my cards are frozen. He's drained our accounts. I don't have anywhere to go." But John only shook his head. "I told you, Jenny, I'm out. I'm not risking another broken rib for you." "You're pathetic," she spat, her voice dripping with contempt. "Last night, you were strutting around, calling yourself an alpha. Today, you're too scared to lift a finger. I don't know what I ever saw in you." That was the end of John. He backed off, and for the first time, Jenny realized that her so-called upgrade was nothing but a coward. She left his office in a rage, her pride shattered. Days later, she was driving toward the city, desperate, her phone dead, and her options gone. She was out of fuel, out of cash, and finally, out of luck. So, when I pulled up beside her in my old van, she looked at me, trapped. "Get in," I said, my voice calm but firm. She hesitated, but what choice did she have? She climbed in, and I told her exactly how things would go. There will be no alimony, no share of my assets. You can keep what little you have, but that's it. You'll pick up your things tomorrow morning, or they'll be burned by noon. Her face fell, but she didn't argue. She had no strength left. "Do I get to see the kids?" "You can see them when I'm not around, provided they want to see you. But beyond that, you're gone from our lives, Jenny. You made this choice." As I drove off, I saw her standing on the side of the road, looking lost and defeated. And for the first time, I felt a calmness settle over me. Our chapter was over. I signed the divorce papers days later, citing irreconcilable differences, and the months went by. I was free, a man who'd been forced to confront betrayal and take a stand. I regret how it all ended, the broken trust, and the life we'd built that she tore apart. But sometimes you can't change the path people choose, and you're left to pick up the pieces and walk your own road. Maybe one day, I'll find someone who understands loyalty and respect. Maybe I won't. But either way, I'll face that future on my terms, stronger, wiser, and unwilling to ever let anyone take advantage of me again. Until next time, listener. And if you've come this far, hit that subscribe button